Welcome to AGRIMINDS, the podcast where we explore the intersections of personal growth and professional success in the ag industry. I'm Kacee, Bohle, your host. Thank you for joining me as we dive in to the different strategies and insights that will help you level up your life and career. From mental health to leadership development, we're going to cover it all. So sit back and get ready to grow with AGRIMINDS. Welcome back to another episode of the AGRIMINDS Podcast. Today, I have somebody pretty interesting. Her and I just connected on social media probably like a week or so ago. And one of the things that she had posted on LinkedIn really caught my attention. And I'm like, I've got to get this girl on the podcast. So Scout Foster, welcome to the AGRIMINDS Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. It's my first solo podcast, so I'm excited about that.
Yes, and I can't wait for you to share exactly what you do, who you are, all the things. But essentially, just to provide a little bit of context. So the other day when I saw this post come across my feed on LinkedIn around somebody, which is you, who had just done a whole extensive amount of research on this topic of burnout, not necessarily for people in agriculture, but just burnout in general.
Mhm.
I wanted to pick your brain on a couple of things. And so all the things the Scout is getting ready to talk about, I've not heard yet. We have not rehearsed anything. This is a on the fly conversation. And so we're not sure where this conversation is going to go, but I'm really excited about it. Scout, why don't you go ahead and just introduce yourself? Who are you? Where are you from? Like all the things so people understand who the heck you are.
Absolutely. So, my name is Scout Foster. I'm the director of strategic storytelling at McFarland Productions. We are a marketing and creative agency. We primarily focus on ag and Western brands, but we also will do brands that just live outdoors. So, I am originally from Central Florida. I grew up in a family that raises beef cattle and bucking bulls for rodeo. On one side of my family, and then the other side of my family lived on Disney's Nature Preserve Wilderness. I don't remember the full name of it, but they lived on Disney's preserve in Central Florida. So kind of like equal parts ag, Western sports, and conservation. Um, Love being outdoors. I always say that if it will get me a sunburn, like I'm in, I want to do it. I love to feel like the heat of the sun on my skin. Moved to Lubbock, Texas to go to Texas Tech. I got my undergrad in agricultural communications, graduated, moved to East Texas. I live in a small town, Crockett, now with my husband and some family, and decided to go back to school to get a master's in mass communications. And this is kind of where my burnout study comes in. So I was learning about media communication theories, and we were researching. I knew that I had to have a final master's report on a project. Started feeling a little burnout in work, and I'm very fortunate. I'm able to talk about it with my coworkers and my bosses and leadership at McFarland Productions, but I know that not everyone is able to do that. Also, just wanted to know why I saw people in marketing getting burnout all the time. It was like a very, like any stage of my career as an intern, as, like a junior account manager, contractor, I just saw people so burnt out with marketing. And then I started to get a little burnout with marketing. I'm like, why is this happening? So, anyways, that kind of sparked my research topic. And turns out I'm very passionate about boundaries and burnout, which is where you and I started talking. So, I studied burnout primarily in social media marketing for 11 months. It was a 12-month program. Yeah, studied it for 11 months, finished in August. Decided I wanted to start sharing about it on LinkedIn.
I think that so many people are going to resonate with this. When somebody asks you, what are the main signs of burnout, or like, what is burnout and how do you know if you have it or not?
Yeah, so I did my research on social media burnout, but I collected data with a survey. So that was one of my questions, as just like fill in the blank here. What is burnout for you? And I got back words like tired, understaffed, 24/7. Physical symptoms include, um, like headaches or fatigue, a general lack of personal accomplishment, less motivation. So I think all of those all add up to be burnout. You might love your job, but you're burnt out by the task of your job, or you might love the purpose of your job, but you're burnt out by, um, maybe it's the people, maybe it's the season. I think that we get a lot of that in ag or in events and marketing. Like the ag is so seasonally driven. Social media management can also be seasonally driven, where people were just like, I'm tired. We do not have the staff to keep up with the demands of my position. I love marketing. I hate my position type thing. So I got that a lot. And it was kind of sad actually to read some of the things that people were saying about why they're burnout or how they're burnout or their symptoms of burnout, because to me it is very fixable. You just have to put in the work to fix it. Um, but like you said, where you're an entrepreneur, so you're wearing many hats. We are wearing many hats in marketing and in ag. Oftentimes we are our own, I don't know, plumber or our own veterinarian or like we work on our own irrigation, we work on our own animal, like stuff like we are doing many things that we maybe are not necessarily experts in, if that makes sense, or what we're necessarily passionate about. And we do that in marketing. So a lot of times your social media manager is also your graphic designer, but they're not necessarily formally trained in graphic design. They might not love graphic design, but we post graphics on social media. So we have somebody has to make those. So I think like that is what I mainly saw in my research, is that people are tired of doing many things that maybe they were not um, educated on or expecting. Maybe they don't know how to not do those things. Maybe they don't have a team that can back them up on it. I think that is maybe where I was seeing a lot of my data, is that people are just tired for lack of better words, of being overworked.
Yeah. I was talking about burnout with a coach of mine a couple of years ago, and she made a comment, and I go back and forth on agreeing with it or not. Like some days I'm like, "Yes, that's so true." And then other days I'm like, "But," and here's what she had said. She said, "Burnout is not about doing too much work. It's about doing the wrong type of work." And where I always say, "But," I always want to add on
Mhm.
at the wrong time. So burnout isn't doing too much work, it's doing too much of the wrong work at the wrong time. And so I think
Mhm.
about that a lot too, because most of the time, everything that we're doing is important. I mean, raising a family and being around my
Mhm.
kids, that's important. Making an income, helping my clients is
Mhm.
important. Making sure our animals are fed, helping out on the farm is important. Taking care of, elderly people in our lives is important. Making sure that we're volunteering in our community is important. We wouldn't be doing this stuff if it wasn't important. And so that's where like I challenge that, because
Right.
it's like I'm not burnt out because I'm doing the wrong things, because all of this matters. All of this is important. But are we doing more
Mhm.
stuff that is giving us energy in life than we are that's draining us? What are some other things that you discovered in your research around burnout?
So I think I wanna add on to doing the things that you love, and maybe it's not doing more of the things that you love, but maybe it's doing the things that you love and doing it because you love it and not because you have to do it. So, a story that I have been telling as I've been talking about burnout is my mom loves to host. Like, my mom loves hospitality. She loves events. She loves pulling people into her home, hosting for them. She's not I wouldn't say she's a cook. Like, she's not really cooking for them, but like, she loves the community of it.
Mhm.
But there was a time where she was hosting, like, every single holiday, and she was doing it up to, like, I know most people say, like, the 9s, but, like, she was literally doing it up to, like, the 10s and 12s, like, she was really going so extra with it because she loved it, but then it got to a point where she was just constantly worried about it or constantly trying to find, I don't know, like, platters and napkins and trying to source as many as, like, the people that were coming, like, the logistics of it. Um, and she finally got to a point where she's like, "I do not want to host Christmas this year. Like, I do not wanna host Thanksgiving. Like, I love it, I wanna get together with people. I want it to be a nice event, like, I want it to be done up the way that I would do it up, but I just don't want to do it." And I'm
Mhm.
like, "Okay, well, if somebody else is gonna host, like, you have to be okay with the way that they host it." I ended up hosting Thanksgiving. She's like, "You know what? Like, that was so nice. It really allowed me to have, like, just a breather. Like, I could appreciate other people's take on hosting. Um, I didn't have to do it. I could, like, she helped us clean up, and then she could go home, put her sweatpants on, and really take, that afternoon Thanksgiving nap that I feel like we all deserve after eating so much food." Um, I say that because I saw that in a lot of my data that people do love what they're doing. And so I think naturally we think we need to do more of that and less of what we don't love. You're not really going to be able to do that all the time. I think what I found in my data is that we can still get burnout on doing the things that we love if we don't take the time to pause and like, 1, reflect on why we love them. 2, if we don't feel appreciated on why we're doing them in the first place. Um, but, like, you can still take a break from the things that you love so you can continue to love them and not just constantly be drained by even the things that you love, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I mean, I think about it in my kids' perspective, right? Like, I love my kids, but I would like to take a shower in peace, right? Like, or I would like to be able
Yes.
to go to the grocery store without my 2 children tagging along. I
Mhm.
love them, but sometimes I just need to not have to pay attention to 15 things. Like, I need that break, even if
Yes.
it's for 20,
Yeah.
30 minutes, right? And I think that I feel guilty about that sometimes. It's like, they're my kids, I should love them 24/7. It's like, I do, but that doesn't mean I don't need a break. Same thing with my business, right? Like, I love my
Right.
clients, I love doing what I do, but that doesn't mean I want back-to-back calls from 8 to 5. Like, I can do, like, 2 to 3 client
Mhm.
calls a day, and then I am drained, not because I don't love what I do, but it's because it's just it physically takes so much out of me. I need to replenish that, I need to recharge that, and I don't
Mhm.
think, one, many people know that that's what's happening, is that their battery is getting drained. Now you need to go find something that's gonna recharge you, which is why I do the Working Genius a lot. So, for anybody listening who's brand new to the Working Genius, it's a personality/productivity tool assessment, if you will, that helps you understand what type of work fills you up and charges you and just, like, brings you this joy and energy, and what type of work drains you. And that's why it's so important to understand that about yourself, of, like, what types of things actually are gonna recharge me. For me, I like to sit alone in quiet and think and just daydream. That fills me up. I'm a wanderer. I love doing that. Most people are like, "Wait, you just sit around and think and that brings you energy and joy?" Like, "What?" And for other people,
Yes.
it's getting around other people, and it's going and checking stuff off a list and being, productive in that way. That brings them joy and energy. And so I'm wondering, without ever knowing anything about your mom other than what you've just shared, I'm wondering if she is like the enabler, if she's the person that wants to get around people and is, an extrovert who loves being around other people and gets charged up by that kind of environment. but it's
Mhm.
the planning and the tenacity work of, like, getting the logistics done is the part that drains her, which is why maybe she got burnt out, right? Like, and maybe that's why at your Thanksgiving, she didn't have to worry about all the logistics. She was there, she was involved, she was hanging out with people. She got that fulfillment without the logistics draining her. So maybe that was a way for
Mhm.
her to get recharged, but
Yeah.
now she's like, maybe not even knowing it, but subconsciously realizing, okay, if I just put more of my attention on the entertaining fact and not the planning part, then I can still check the box and get what I need out of this, but not get that burnout that was associated with all my other events. And Scout, one of the things that you mentioned just a second ago of like, this can apply to your team and your home life, right? And I've said this so many times. It's like, when though? When do I have time to take a break? You know, and like if I'm talking for myself solely, I have a business. I homeschool my 2 kids. My husband works swing shift. So it's like, when the hell is there time to take a break? When? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, where can I fit that in? And
Mhm.
something I saw on social media the other day was a video of this girl making her bed, and the caption or something said something like, if she can run an iPad, she can make her own bed and clean her own room. And I'm like, yeah, you're 100% right. Like,
Yes.
my daughter is 2, she'll be 3 in December, and she knows how to put her clothes away. I'll fold them and she will put them in the right drawer, right? And so it's like, even if it's just small tasks like this at 2 years old, if she can start to understand, like, this has to get done, these go here. I'm training her so that way soon, hopefully, she'll be able to do her own laundry. So if she can comprehend that at 2 years old, just think of the other things, like my 9-year-old
Mhm.
can be delegated. You know what I mean? It's like he is fully capable of doing all of his chores. Like, there are things I can delegate out to him. And that's why I, like, always say, like, this stuff starts at home. If you're having a hard time with managing your team and you're taking on too many projects, it's probably the same thing at home too. And if you're doing that at home, you're probably doing it at work, right? Like vice versa. It's the same thing. And so it's like, take a second to take
Mhm.
inventory of like, what are you putting your time and your energy into? What can be simplified? What can be shared? What can be released, right? Like I always say, automate, delegate, eliminate. What are those 3 things that you can do to like just kind of reconfigure your norm? Even though like I do have a hard time delegating certain things out because like your mama said, like it may not be done the way that I would have done it. And that control is so hard to release. But my well-being, my sanity is worth more than that being perfect. It just needs to get done at this point. And so one thing I want to hear
Absolutely.
a
Yeah.
little bit more of, and maybe you don't have the exact numbers in front of you, but I would like to hear some of the stats, and I think my listeners would too, of like, how many people did you, collect information from? Like, what size of group are we talking?
The participant pool was 70, participants. In a perfect world, I would have loved to have, 700, 1,000 just to, um, maybe validate it a little bit more. But because I did this for school, I only had 14 days to collect data, so it was a little the deadline was tight. It could male, female. It was like 95% female. Very little, um, like male representation. But I think that that could just be one. I think women are a little bit more prone to help in research. Like we see that a lot. Like in just our general research methods, we see women taking more surveys or women answering more questions than men do. So that was kind of to be expected. Also, I just think in general in the social media position, we see more women in that position. Age range was 20s and early 30s. Am I forgetting any? Like, you have any questions on the demographics?
I know you mentioned age, but, like, do you also say, like, do you have kids? Are you an on like, are you running multiple businesses? Like, do you have multiple like, your full-time job plus a side job? Like, I know a lot of my listeners that are farmers and ranchers also have a town job, or they're also, doing 2 or 3 different side
Mhm.
gigs, right? Like, do you have anything like that that talks about, like, "I'm managing my children, I have this job, I'm also taking care of elderly parents," like, those types of things, or was it more so just, like, around, like, their role?
Okay, so I did ask if they were full-time, part-time, um, a contractor, or a volunteer, I think was maybe one of them. I did get a few answers back that they were a volunteer, so maybe it was other and they could, like, plug in volunteer. I did not this was in my, limitations write-up because I wish I would have asked this. It didn't occur to me until after I had already looked over all of the research that I should ask what their home life looked like and, like, what responsibilities they had outside of their role. So I did not ask anything that, like, they're taking care of elderly parents or they have kids or, like, what they do if it was a part-time role. So I didn't go that deep into it, and I do wish that I would have because I think that that would have opened it up for more, like, more feedback and more, like, ways where you can specifically help people.
Mhm.
Um, if I were to do it again, I would definitely do that, but I did, like, a whole write-up about that in my limitations list. Um, but what I found with the demographics and the questions that I the more general questions is, there are no I don't wanna say there are no, um, like, over 45% of participants answered that there are no burnout resources offered to them at their company, and then 20 I did write this number down. 27.4% said that burnout is not acknowledged at all, um, which those are so sad to me because I am so fortunate to work at a company where I can call my boss and we're small. So my boss is like a friend to me at this point. We work together so much that we have a friendship, but then we have like a working relationship and we kind of float back and forth between those. Anyways, very sad to me because I feel like I can call my boss at any time and be like, hey, I am so frustrated that I cannot even work on this right now because I am frustrated for this. Like I can feel myself getting very like um having a lack of patience for lack of better words. Like I cannot talk to this like I don't want to say this in like a bad way, but like I need to walk away and I will
Mhm.
come back to this or like here's what I need from you. Like here's the support that I need. I know that not everyone is fortunate enough to have that support or even have that relationship where they can say like, "Hey, I need this support or I need XYZ." That is what I have found to be monumental about my research. 70% of respondents listed that they have left or have considered leaving, currently considering like leaving their roles because they are burnt out. There are no resources. They cannot talk to their leadership team or their bosses about burnout that like you said on the phone the other day, it was like a taboo, like I don't know, like awkward conversation with people and like I think that might I think that might be a little bit more in the ag industry. So my back to my demographics a little bit, I was very heavy in the ag and Western sports, Western lifestyle, like production ag, were all of my respondents like demographics for the the industry that they were in. I did have a few, like, I know I mentioned utilities, and then I think one of them was, maybe in the beauty industry. So, like, I had a few outliers that were not in the ag industry, but I did get, like, a very ag heavy, responses. But I think that, like, I'm trying to think of how I wanna say this without being, too, too harsh, but, like, a lot of times we don't have people to go to because we work alone, you know? Or we don't have people to go to because we are the boss. So, like, how are like, you as a boss, how are you going to get support from, like, your employees or your day laborers or day hands and things? But I think the number one thing that I took away from my research is that it is happening. Like, many people feel this way, and most people don't have a community to go to, and we need a community, and we need those resources to go to.
Yeah, I find this fascinating because yes, I hear this from a lot of my clients too of if they are not the manager, there is a fear of like, I'm feeling this thing and I don't know how to bring it up to my boss, which is a lot of the work that I do, which kind of coaches them through how do you have these
Mhm,
conversations with your boss? How do you have these conversations with your spouse? Like, I'm kind of that person that is unemotionally, not financially tied to their decisions or you know what I mean? Like I'm kind of the neutral party that is a safe place where it's like I need to talk about my boss or I need to talk about my spouse, but not in a demeaning or complaining way. It's just I need to know how to approach them because I'm not sure how to share with them what I'm going through, what I'm feeling. And I that's why I started what I do because I didn't have that. I didn't have somebody to go to talk about, "How do I do
mhm,
this? How do I do that?" Like, there's no playbook here. And I think you and I talked about this the other day too of, like, I feel like in other industries, it's a little bit more okay to talk about it or to bring it up, and the fact that you have that environment where it's like, "Hey boss, I'm just not in it today, like, I need to step away. Cool, what do you need from me? How can I support you? Let's regroup after you take an hour lunch," or maybe you're just
mhm,
angry, right? Like, there's so many things it's like that could be causing it, but that's the core of where I live is the crossroads of our personal and our professional lives, right? Because you're one human, you're there at the center of that. Some days you're heavier here, some days you're heavier there, but at the end of the day, you're one human. And it's like, I think so many people try to separate the two of like, what's going on at home can't be talked about at work, and what's going on at work can't be talked at the kitchen table, right? Like, we have to keep those things separate. And it's like, but if you do, you're going to feel torn. You're going to feel even worse. It's not helpful to do that. And so, if you can find the right way to have the conversation of, "Hey, honey, today this thing happened at work and I'm not looking for a solution. I need to say it out loud to somebody because I can't carry this on my chest anymore. And like, I don't want you to feel like I'm taking this out on you. And so
mhm,
I just want to give you the heads up. I just need to say this stuff out loud somewhere and you're in my safe place, right? Like, that's how that should be. And then vice versa, like for me being an entrepreneur, like, it's not like I'm complaining about clients or complaining about the work, but it's just like this thing happened today and it really frustrated me and I don't have anybody to talk to. I don't have an employee, I don't have a coworker, I don't have
mhm.
a boss. Like, it's just me and I have nobody else to talk to about it other than my husband, right? And then like same thing, it's like if something's going on with my husband, like I typically call my mom or something, but it's like I've just had to learn to just talk to him about him, And like that's just I can't go,
Right,
meet my coworkers around, like, the water fountain and do the water cooler talk like I used to, because that's not a thing for me anymore, and so it's like I've just had to learn
mhm,
how to communicate with my husband about, like, "Hey, when this thing happened, here's how this made me feel, and I don't like feeling that way, and so what can we do, like, to maybe switch things up in the future or whatever," like, and it's all important and it's all intertwined, and you would be crazy to think that one area doesn't affect the other. And I think for so long, so many people, anytime you say burnout, they automatically associate that with job. the place that I'm earning an income, the place that I spend the
Mhm.
majority of my time, right? Because you spend more time at your work than you do at home, like, let's be honest, or your mind is more
Mhm.
present on the ways that you're earning an income than it is anything else. And so when the moment we hear burnout, we instantly associate that with or blame it on your job. And it's like, if you can really just clear the clutter here and just really get to the root of where this is, it could be a whole mixture of all of it. But if you don't know how to name it, you absolutely
Mhm.
can't fix
Absolutely.
it. So I love hearing that. And one thing that I would like to see if have come to a conclusion on are what are some things, I mean, did you go as far as like figuring out like, okay, here's the root of it, here's what we're experiencing. And you mentioned resources. It's like, well, what can people do? Like, have you done any work around like what are some signs and solutions, things that we can implement, tips, tricks, like what are some practical takeaways that people can take from this conversation and this research that you've found?
Yeah, great question because it's only halfway helpful if you talk about it, like you don't
Mhm.
provide any solutions that people can try. I do want to preface this by saying like my solutions are pretty digital. Um, like people who spend a lot of time on a screen or spend a lot of time um building digital content and things. Um, I do wanna say there are some things in here where I do think people can implement it into their life if they are not they're not in living so digitally, which could literally be anyone. We all have, phones. We all have TVs and things like that. I just did my research as a digital marketer for digital marketers. So I just wanted to preface that. The number one thing that seems to be very common in what people want is a hard line between work time and personal time. And I think that is very hard for people who work so much on their phone because we always have it. We always have it in our hand. It's or in your back pocket or in your purse or in the cup holder of your truck. Like you no one is really leaving like, it's not like a home phone where when you leave the house, you don't have a phone, you know what I mean? Like, we have been it's sitting right here on my desk, like, we have been so, like, I wanna say, like, beat up by the fact that we always can have, like, noise, like, either we're talking to our friends or talking to family, or we're listening to somebody talk on TikTok or social media or whatever, platform is, like, your preferred platform. But also when you're doing work on your phone, but, um, through, like, Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, this is very, like, social media management driven, you cannot relax on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You can't relax on those social media. The same the same things that you do at work, you cannot use to relax and to unplug, if that makes sense, but that is why it's so hard for us as digital marketers because when you work all day building content or approving content or strategizing content and then you go home you want to like you you cannot sit on your couch and scroll your phone because that is then it's going to turn into work. um I'm sure there is an equal example for people in the ag industry, but I don't have one at the moment. Anyways, my point in that is we have got to figure out, we as in all of us, have to figure out what is a work task and what is a personal task. And when you are doing it in your personal time, h- how is that serving you? How is that serving your mental health? How is that serving, um, like preventing you from being burnt out if it is the same thing that you do at work? Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Like, don't check your email. You know what I mean? Like when you're at home, like reserve that for your laptop. Take off my number one advice for people who work on their phones. Take off the work apps that are on your personal phone. So use your phone like it is your personal communication line with your friends and family. Or, if your kids are at school, obviously extend that to like school admin and stuff. But like stop checking stop checking your email when you're like standing in line to check out, you know, at your local grocery store because I have always like I am that person. Um Off on a tangent. Number 1, offline hours. So define what is work and what is your personal time. Rotating on call schedule. This one stems very much so from those social media managers where social media is 24/7. It doesn't stop. It's not a Monday through Friday 8 to 5 job. Like, in fact, people get on social media after 5 most of the time. Um, so if your company can do this, or if you can do this, if you have a teammate or a partner, or if you can hire an intern or hire an assistant or something like this, rotate who is responsible for that task after you have clocked out for the day. Um, that's also very digitally driven, but I think that you can have someone responsible for a night check, on your cabin. I don't you know what I mean? Like, if you have a community, use them. If you have, kids who are able to help you, use them. If you have friends, or maybe you set up where your neighbor checks your cat I'm just using cabin as an example, like, maybe you set it up to where your neighbor checks, um, cabbing for you on Saturday and Sunday, like, every other Saturday, Sunday, you guys rotate. So you can have, like, a full night of peace and quiet, and they will call you if they need you. Um, I don't know, just something to where you can unplug, and I don't know if we can ever unplug from, like, our animals or, like, our phones or anything, but rotate implement a rotating schedule if you can. Time away from work-related things, which I kinda talked about in, both of those, examples, but if you can just take time away from something that is very work focused for 1 hour, do that. So I used to be very pro no lunch break, and I'll just work 8 hours straight through. So like I'll start at 7, end at 3, or whatever the timing ends up being. If I start at 8 o'clock, I'll be done at 4, I think is the right time shift. Um, but after doing this research, I have really looked into how I can set up my schedule to where I can just take it some time away in the middle of the day away from work. Um, this I do shift seasonally a little bit just because when the sun goes down at like 5 p.m., I I want to spend my time outside after I have spent time in an office for 8 hours. So currently the schedule that I'm on is I wake up around 6. If my husband is listening to this, he's like, it is never 6 o'clock. But I will say around 6. Um, 6 to 7, my personal time. I have coffee, I sit on the couch with my husband, and sometimes we talk and sometimes we don't. Sometimes we'll listen to a podcast together, or sometimes I might doze back off until I spill my hot coffee on my lap, and then I'm like, "It's time to wake up." Anyways, 6 to 7, my personal time. At 7 o'clock, I start checking work apps, which is really just my email now because I have delegated social like, we have, um, experts in their, um, field, I guess I can say. Anyways, I start checking social apps. I get ready. I let the dogs out. I feed the chickens. I water the garden. Anything that I need to do to like get ready for the day to go to the office. Then I work my until lunch until I'm hungry, and now I'm taking a lunch. I'll go home. I'll walk the dogs. I'll eat lunch. I'll make a nice lunch instead of just packing like random stuff I can eat at my desk while I'm still writing emails and things. I say all of that to say, like, I have said I am not a routine person, like, I actually really thrive off of freedom and flexibility, but you can have a routine and give yourself the flexibility, like, within that routine, like, not everything has to be, like, 11 a.m. sharp, I take my lunch from to 12 p.m. sharp, you know what I mean? Like, it can be a flexible workday, but you can be strict in your routine that this is time away from my computer or this is time away from work-related task. The last thing is expectations and boundaries, and I think that this like, I know you talk a lot about boundaries, and it is probably, like, one of my favorite things to talk about because I am naturally very good at setting boundaries and following through with them, but, like, talk to your boss, how you like, set the expectation with your boss and with your coworkers and with your family and with your friends that this is the time that I have for you, or this is what I'm willing to do, or these are the things I can do. These are the things I'm happy to help with. Like anything, like make it make sense for your personal life, but set those expectations and stick to them. Like
Mm.
it is, you can set them all day long, but if you don't stick to them, it's not going to help you at all.
Just you have to take a moment to just figure out where you're at, right? Like if you're feeling stretched thin, if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling what we're calling signs and symptoms of burnout, it makes a big difference if you take a second to assess your situation and know that your signs of burnout may look different than somebody else's signs of burnout, right? Like I may be more
Mhm.
external about my struggles, whereas somebody else may retreat and get quiet or not show as much engagement, right? And so it's like just paying attention. It's up to you to pay attention to yourself, but also if you can know, okay, this person has changed on how they used to show up. She used to be bubbly and energetic, and now she's kind of quiet and kind of keeping herself, away from everybody else. That may be a point for you to check in with your team, right? And like you said, it's just like having that awareness and paying attention to that stuff. I'll go through the points that you made and see if I can shine a little bit more light on how this could be applicable to my listeners too, because I know that your research was mainly focused on social media management, that type of stuff. And so like for people who are listening,
Mhm.
which are farmers, ranchers, ag business professionals, which maybe sales agronomists, I know I've got a lot of people who do work in the office behind the scenes, whether it's clerking or doing social media or, more stuff that's not like physically out in the field. And so if they are sitting in front of a computer, things like
Mhm.
that, I bet the things that you mentioned resonate. But for those who are like, well, I'm not really on my phone all the time, but I still do need help with drawing the line between work and family, what's that look like, right? Especially for my farmers and ranchers who are listening, right? Like your line of work is directly like it's all one big thing. And so how do you separate the farm from the family? How do you separate ranching from life? Like that is life, that is your way of life. And so it's like, how do we draw those differences? And one thing that I remember a former client of mine sharing, she came back to the farm, was working with her mom and dad. She said one of the best things I ever did was stop calling my mom and dad during business hours. If we were working together, it was, you know, John and June or whatever. I don't remember their actual names, but
I love
she
that.
called them by their first names when they were in the professional capacity. They never talked about the farm at the kitchen table. They went to a restaurant or booked a room at the library or something off the farm. Or they ended up building a barn that had like a conference room in it, like a building. So they had like their work meetings there. And so like that was just one small way that they could shift from this is farm, this is business, to this is mom and dad, this is family. And so they never talked about the farm and the business and stuff like that in the kitchen. They always went off site to do those types of things. They called each other by their first names, not, hey, mom and dad, or whatever it was. And so that's just one way. I could go deeper into that one, but that's just one way that's like, how do we separate those two if they're so intertwined, right? Just some small shifts. I loved the on-call schedule because, like you said, like if you're in the social media world, like who's checking if there was a link error or if a post didn't go the way that we wanted it to, like who's managing those things, who's on call. And I think the same can be said for, like you said, like farmers and ranchers who have calving season or like hey, like a piece of equipment broke down, like who's on call for all the things? Like I'm imagining like a pivot
Mhm.
breaking out in the middle of the field in the middle of the night and you're getting a ding. Like, is there one person that's always responsible for that? Or can there be some sort of on call schedule where we rotate between every other weekend it's you versus me? Or like, I don't know, like if it's two people farming together, like how can we split those things up and get really clear on that? Because like just because that's something I've done for 20 years doesn't mean I enjoy it or that I want to continue to do it. So I like how you can kind of apply that to any position. Like same thing with my husband and I, like he has a really wonky work schedule. And so here it is Monday afternoon. He's upstairs with the kids while I'm down here working. But I know like when he goes to work this Thursday, I don't have any calls Thursday or Friday. I can do my admin work on those days, but I can't
Right.
be client facing on those days. And so we just have to get really good at communicating our needs and saying, I know that we both have the day to do whatever we need to do today, but today I don't need you to make plans. I need you to watch the kids so I can do this, or vice versa, right? Like we just know that those are the expectations. And so I loved when you talked about managing those expectations. I can't assume he knows just because it's his day off that I don't need him, right? Like I need him to be with the kids while I'm working. And so you have to manage that stuff and say like it's on
Mhm.
the calendar. I'm not going to move that even though something else came up for you. Like these are my boundaries. If it's your time to go deal with the kids and something comes up for you, it's your responsibility to find something to do with those kids because I can't move this call, right? Like we have to manage those expectations and not only set the boundaries but like you said stick to those boundaries and continue to reinforce them because people may forget. We're human. We may see that there is an opportunity to move calls around. And so it doesn't hurt to ask, but sticking to them and not feeling guilty about that because my stuff does matter too. My stuff is important too. Even though I typically do have more flexibility, this is a non negotiable one for me. So I liked that you said that. And then the final thing, which goes back to like, I think it was your third out of the 4 points, was time away and shutting it off. And something I hear over and over and over again in the ag industry is like, I have cattle, I have pigs, or, whatever the hell you're raising. It's like, I can't just go on vacation for a week. Who's going to feed them? Or I can't just not be here. Like I had to get married. Well, I didn't have to get married. I chose to get married in January because I was trying to be respectful of planting and harvest season, right? Like the between the months of like April through November are a hit or miss in our family. And so it's like I chose to get married in January. But if I were to have gotten married in a different month because that's the month that I chose to get married in, I just have to know some people may be able to join, some people maybe not, able to join. And so I have to just manage my expectation about that too of like maybe they physically can't get away. But if you can delegate out, if you can put some systems and processes in place to at least take the afternoon or the weekend away, just something is better than nothing at this point. And it doesn't have to be an all or nothing. It doesn't have to be a whole week away from the farm. You don't even have to leave the farm, but just delegating out the responsibility so that way you can go take care of whatever you need to, in town for the day. Like if there's doctor's appointments or whatever, like that stuff is super
Absolutely.
important and
Mhm.
prioritizing your health, both your mental and your physical health is super, super important. And so I like that and being intentional about what you're eating, how you're eating throughout the day. Like I don't remember which episode it was, but Amanda Nig, who is the Farm Fit Mama, was on the AGRIMINDS podcast early, early on. And she talked about like, sitting in a tractor for 8 to 10 hours, working ground, harvesting, whatever it is. It's like, like I remember my grandpa ended up getting a blood clot in his leg from like constantly shifting, clutching inside of the semi. And it's like, like if you stop, like, let's just say, you take 2 minutes to get out of the truck to stretch while you're unloading or loading, or stopping the tractor at the end of the field and just taking a couple of laps around the cultivator and the tractor to just get the blood moving, or doing a couple, stretches, it's better than nothing. And so it's like, if you can at least just be of mind, like, just get a little bit of movement when and where you can. It doesn't have to be this big thing. You don't have to go for a mile run. If you can just park a little bit further at the parking lot of the grocery store to just get a few more extra steps in where you can, that can also help with your mental and your physical well-being as well. And so I loved how you were just like, where you can, do it. Where you can't, give yourself the grace and just try to be aware of how you can make shifts in the future. So hopefully those are some good practical tips to just help with the burnout of, like, maybe you can't change your circumstances. Maybe you can't leave your job. Maybe you can't, change anything that's going on at home either. But where you can make changes, do so, because that will help you relieve some burnout. And I don't think burnout has to be a long term thing, and it doesn't have to be the norm for you. So, any final thoughts from you, Scout, around your insights, around, your findings doing this research that you can share with our listeners around burnout?
Yeah, I think my biggest one is the the changes that you make can be small, but they can have a big impact as you are figuring out like what types of things can help you or like like where you are. I think it's important to figure out what is going to help you and you need to do those things that will help you because you will be better for it, but your work and your family and your life in general will also be better for it.
Yeah, and I say this a lot too, of like, just be where your feet are. Give yourself the permission to shut off anything that's not absolutely necessary, because I try to carry all the things in my brain all day every day, and it's like, okay, I don't physically or mentally need to be carrying that thought or that worry or that responsibility right now. And I actually read this the other day. It's like, when you try to be all the places, right? Like, let's just say you're at home sitting on the couch with your kid, but you're also thinking about what you're going to make for supper. You're thinking about what email you need to send. You're thinking about what project you got coming up, or what needs to be done outside, all the things. Like, when you're all those places mentally, you're physically nowhere. You're not fully present in any of them, and that doesn't do anybody any good. So just be where your feet are. Put your oxygen mask on first. Give yourself the permission to work the kinks out over time. Like, I don't think burnout can be 100% eliminated overnight, but like, give yourself the permission to make these small shifts and work the kinks out over time, and I think it will give you the relief that you're looking for on the other side of burnout. So, Scout, I just want to thank you for sharing your insights, for, sharing your story, and just hopefully helping other people within our industry be a little bit more present and intentional showing up, and hopefully not experience burnout as often as maybe they have been before. So I just want to thank you for being on the AGRIMINDS podcast.
Yes, thank you so, so, so much for having me and giving me a platform to share my research and my knowledge and honestly just sharing, talking to like-minded people on burnout and hopefully something I say sticks with your audience and they can change their life just a little bit to make it a little bit better.
Yeah, if people want to connect with you, learn more about what you do in any capacity, where can they find you? Where can they connect with you?
Kind of going back to the burnout, I'm actually only on LinkedIn for social media. So Scout Foster on LinkedIn. Scoutfoster.com is a not very well put together website, but I kind of house like work and personal writings, portfolio pieces there, and they can reach me through scoutfoster.com or Scout Foster on LinkedIn. I think those would be the two best places to get a hold of me.
Also, just want to do a like virtual high five for just saying, like, those other social media platforms are not serving me. And the fact that you're in social media management or social media marketing, like, and you're like, I'm only on LinkedIn and it's not even like that active, like, that is super refreshing to hear because there's a lot of days where I'm just like, I'm just about to delete it all, get myself a flip phone, and just go old school. And honestly, I could, but I do see that there is so much good out there. Had we not connected on LinkedIn, we wouldn't be having this conversation. And so I do think that there is benefit.
Right.
And so, like, I almost mentioned this earlier and I forgot of like how to tell whether or not something is like toxic versus healthy, right? It's like the moment it starts to become a burden, the moment it starts to feel unenjoyable, that's when like this could be leading me to burnout. And so that's my warning sign. That's the red flag of saying like take a step back, delete stuff off your phone, get back outside, get back into your reality, get grounded, get centered, whatever you need to do to just get back to you. And I think that will help with burnout too, of just like remembering you don't have to listen to this noise. You don't have to be engaged. You don't have to be up to date on all the world's happenings. We were not built for that. We were not built to receive that information and have that much noise all the time. And so it's just super refreshing to hear like I'm only on LinkedIn, like it's serving the purpose that I need. Like, oh, I'm just like so motivated to just like take a social media fast again. I've done it before and it's been so helpful. I did
Right.
the 40-day social media fast challenge and it was I think I lasted like 3 hours the first time. But
Yeah.
the second time I tried it, I got a little bit further. But even if I didn't finish the 40 days, it was still super refreshing and helping me get back to the feeling of normal, not burnout. So thank you again. I'll put some links in the show notes. But I just appreciate you being on here and just being so open with all the things that you've discovered over the last couple of years.